balmy shores of sunny Florida to the cold winds of Chicago and everywhere in between, you're watching the Red Wimet Show, live, coast to coast. And now, Chicago's talk of the town, Mr. Red Wimet.
Hello, everybody. Today is Monday, October 6th, 2025. And I am Red Wimet. Hi, Dave. Dave was the first guy to show up. William Price, good to see you here. Christina Morris. I love you, dear. Scott H. He's back in Georgia. He's got his traveling wheels on. Bill Crawley. How you doing, guy? Dave Grimpy in car, driving, listening. Okay. Today, I don't know if you people care or not, but it's part of history. And Joseph, hey, Red, looks like it's raining down the Redneck Riviera. No, the skies are blue here. It's very nice. Hot out, though. Very hot out. So, if you looked at the thumbnail, you probably saw a place that was extremely popular in the 60s, and it was called the Plug Nickel. I'm going to put up there. There's the Plug Nickel. Now, I want you to take a very good look at the Plug Nickel, because that little white building over to the right remained. But the other building, it caught fire and it burned down. Only the front part of it. The back part of it didn't really burn down, but it all got rehabbed anyway. You see, Frank Schweihs liked that building. And he owned a piece of the Plug Nickel. Most of the public never knew it. But unless you lived on Wall Street close to him and you were connected with him, you probably wouldn't know the whole story. But what he actually did was on a weekend, he tore that place down. No permits, no nothing, just demolition. Not all of it. Just the front part. You can see where those windows are in back on the second floor. He left those alone. And actually, he built a balcony out in front of them, all the way across the front of the building. But the two stories were gone. And on the first floor, he decided he was going to build actually underneath, excuse me, I'm wrong. Underneath the windows in the back, right where you can see that park sign, is where he built the meat block. And the meat block it never opened, but you never saw the inside of it. You guys didn't. I did. I was invited in many times. I was in Frank Schweihs' home. His home was in the back and upstairs, but I was invited in there many times. And when I was invited in there, it was kind of like, he had a waterfall when you came in the doorway, exotic birds, lots of crazy stuff in there. It was all done in ceramic tile and mahogany. Nothing but first class. In the front where the meat block was supposed to be was a big, big grill. And above that grill was a, air vent, a Gen Air, something like a Gen Air. And that thing was equipped to charcoal broil, real charcoal broil, at least 20, 30 steaks at a time. It was going to be a real good steakhouse. But like I said, he tore it down on a Friday night. No building permits. And by Saturday, it was all hauled away. And they started building the new building, which was all built of, I'll show you some of it right here. He put a driveway there when he couldn't get a liquor license, but it was all built of that brick, that specific type brick. And that was his garage door that went back to his house. And to the right of it, to the right of those bricks, was his parking lot. And the parking lot had the shack was still there. The one I showed you in the first picture. I'll go back and let you see it again. The shack was this little white building. And it was where the car hiker used to hold your keys and everything, or the valet, whatever you want to call them. I call them car hikers. But that's the way it was then. Later on, you can see to the gate here, he naturally had toes on here. This is where the infamous beatdown took place from the right where the driveway is there, with him and the drag queens. It was something else. But if you look through the bars, you can see back where the building was. And then it went up higher. You can see a little bit on the top of it. And it was a real neat place. I mean, it really was. Of course, over the years, things changed, and his good friend Melito took over the parking lot, and he built automotive repairs there because he didn't have enough room on North Avenue at his gas station. However, it was interesting. It was interesting in a lot of ways. One of the things I caught, and I don't think I can put it up here, is a newspaper article. And this was in 1974. And the newspaper article was talking about Marshall Cafano hanging out there when they were building. Joey Lombardo hanging out there, Irv Weiner hanging out there. Basically, he let everybody know ahead of time that was going to be a hangout. And it was going to be his, like, a place where everybody would congregate. Tony was there. Tony Spilaccio was there. A lot of people were there. That whole crew was there. But like I said, it never got opened. And because it never got open, Frank was really upset over it. He never quite got over that part of it not getting open. It was one of those kind of things where he rightfully blamed Georgetown. The newspapers were so hot and heavy on him, Lombardo, Marshall Cafano, Milwaukee Phil, Irv Weiner, Tony Spilaccio, all down there every day watching him build it. And he built it like in less than 4 days. He had crews come in. I mean, he wasted no money. And that's another odd thing. Frank didn't have it. He didn't pay. He had no income. He never showed an income in his life. He never showed an income. Never paid income tax. His Mercedes was owned by his mother. He had other cars that he borrowed. That building was owned by Pete Chevarelli. Then it was owned by somebody else. It just kept going around, going around, going around. But at those times, I looked at all those people that were there as heavy hitters. They weren't your average. Let me say this. I think Frank Collada was in prison. He was part of the crew, but you never saw him hanging around with those people, ever. Frank Collada believed in something else. He believed that he was a thief, and that's all he wanted to do. If he had to steal or whatever, or he wanted to steal, and he wanted to kick up to somebody because he didn't want to get murdered, he'd just kick up. That was part of the business, of the cost of doing business. But as far as hanging out with any of these guys, he never hung out with Joey. He didn't want to hang out with him. When he was in Chicago, he didn't hang out with Tony. Tony was with Phil all the time. He didn't want to hang out with him. There wasn't no money in hanging out with him. And Frank didn't like these people anyway. They had a nickname for Frank. I haven't talked about it in a long time because I've been doing shows with Adam. But back in the day, before I ever even knew who Frank Collada was, his nickname was Frankie Four Eyes. And when I told Adam about it, Adam flipped out. He said, "Oh, man." He said, "I heard one time he was talking about, somebody made a comment about his Coke bottle glasses, and he went absolutely spastic." So he really didn't like being called that. Did I nickname him that? No. Obviously, I heard it from other people, but I've been very polite, and I didn't really get it on him and confront him with that. Why should I? Why demean the guy? And now he's passed, and wherever he is, I hope he's comfortable. I hope he made peace with his maker. I really do. But anyway, back to the meat block, or the Plug Nickel. The Plug Nickel was really making good money just as a folk singer place. It was a neat joint. It really was. I was in it one time, and I really didn't like it. And back in those days, it was marijuana, hashish, and things like that, and everybody was doing it. It was there. They had some really good bands play there. A lot of people just sitting around like a coffee house. The beatniks, where they would, I don't know if you guys know what beatniks are, but they would just play on their guitars and their banjos and bongo drums, and they were out in space. So it was a different time, a different era, and a different kind of people. But not as far as the outfit was concerned. The outfit was Frankie Schweihs really wanted to make that a place like the Como Inn or something like that. Yeah, Scott H. The beatnik generation, like Toby Gillis. That's what it was. Not many people know who Toby Gillis was. How about the guy from Mad Magazine? Everybody knows who he is. or when High Times was a good magazine. Everybody wanted to read High Times. It was very interesting at that time. Sean Aldi, how you doing? Just dropping in to say hi. Hope everyone's doing well. Well, we hope you're doing well too, Sean. Good to see you. Yes, there were no building permits, David Grimby. There were no building permits at all. And as a result, George Dunn, who was we had aldermen and then we had committeemen. And our committeeman was part of the county board. And George Dunn was chairman of the county board. In other words, he pulled a lot of weight. And if you're chairman of your district, the actual alderman at that time was Burton Torres. And naturally, they named a street after him, Burton Place, right in Old Town. But he was, his clout was George Dunn. And George Dunn's clout was Mayor Daley Sr., who we called King Richard. Scott H. A lot of the beatniks were homosexual poets, writers, and Ginsberg. Yeah, we're all homosexuals. I don't know. I mean, I really didn't do any research on them. They were laid back. They were flower children, as far as I was concerned. They were laid back. I didn't know that they were gay at the time. It was just they were different. They laid back, and not all of them were like that. Because it was a mixed crowd back in those days, guy. It was the beatnik crowd was like they had gals, they had guys, but it was nobody got married. It was very loose relationships were involved. But I didn't know about Burroughs and I didn't know about Ginsberg, but that makes sense to me. They preceded the hippies. Okay. Hey, Bill, the crowd. How you doing, buddy? So, when this thing got finished, Rhonda, my Italian cowgirl, how you doing? Rhonda posted a picture in Facebook, and I made a comment about it. It was the hounds were in there, and it looked like a hunt club. And I made a comment about it, and she said, "It's just not my thing." And I said, "No, she's the cowgirl. She rides Western." I couldn't see her in a fox hunt anyway. Good to see you, Rhonda. What was the reason the Germans' place never opened? It got completely finished, and they couldn't get a liquor license. They could get a federal liquor license. They could get a state liquor license, but they couldn't get a liquor license in the city of Chicago, where it was located. George Dunn basically put a brick on it. And Frank had spent, in those days, he spent about $150,000 to $200,000 in that place. And he was livid. He was talking about doing all kinds of things. So he wanted to kill him. But he didn't. Jim Jagger with the announcement. It's 4:20. Okay, Jim. I'm glad you're doing well, buddy. He's okay, I think. Yeah, he's looking at me. He's looking at me. Joseph Coyle. Well, my very young father took us to the Wax Museum. That was on the west side of the street. I remember him talking about a place called Lum's. Lum's was there, yeah. They had hot dogs and beer. I remember Lum's. That was a good place. I like Lum's. No, I didn't know that many guys out in Vegas, guy. I really didn't. Rico Suave, Kansas City watching. Cheers to everyone. God bless. Thank you, Rico. Hey guys, hit that like number button, please. I'd appreciate it. Yes, they did. They were the only ones that boiled hot dogs and beer. You're right. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if he worked for Hanley. Uh, Hanley controlled that union. It was a long time ago, but I do remember it a little bit. Didn't know the guy. I didn't get involved with him personally. Honestly, folks, I kind of stick with my own crew. I mean, I can know a little bit about history from listening, and sometimes I look because I want to see who was who. But generally, I kind of stick to the people I was around and knew, and that was in my own crew. Now, there were some people that I knew that weren't in my crew, like the Bullahanses. There was Nick Jr., George, and they were something else. But they were attached to the Rush Street crew. But getting back to Frankie Schweihs, it was very interesting how he had roll-off boxes there, or dumpsters, whatever you want to call them. And they just moved everything out. Everything. That was it. And then they built. What are you trying to say here? I got you, Red. We know our own crew and the outside crews. Okay. New, because they ain't no more. I remember years ago, somebody coming up to me and asking me if, didn't ask me, they told me I had to join the union as a bartender. And I talked to the owner that I was attending bar for. And I said, what's this bullshit? I got to join the union. He said, yeah, everybody that works here's got to do it. And I said, well, I took my apron off and said, you're on your own, pal, because I ain't doing it. And as I started to walk out, he said, wait. I said, don't tell me you're going to pay my dues for me, because I don't buy that. It just isn't going to work. The crowd. Foolishness taking place in the Windy City likely would not have taken place back when the often. You're talking about today? Never happened. It wouldn't have happened. I mean, the police would have stayed home all right, but somebody else would have handled it. How you doing, Ryan? Good to see you, buddy. Ryan Brown. So that was the story of the plug nickel. And because it was the plug nickel, some people may have heard of it. You had to be kind of in the old town crowd to hear of it. And a lot of people have asked me, well, what's the story with the meat block? What kind of steaks did he have? Did it ever open? Well, he did open it. And there was no liquor license. And they made him close the doors. And you couldn't get many people to go into a steakhouse where it had some damn good steaks. I mean, they were good. but you couldn't get anybody to go into a steakhouse and not have a liquor license. It just didn't happen. Every steakhouse on Wall Street had a liquor license. Danny O'Brien's, the steak joint, Orso's. Every place you went to, it had a steak, it had a liquor license. It just was what it was. But Frank did intend on having primo food there. Absolutely perfect. And at the time, he was talking to Melito, Frank Melito, who owned Orso's. And they were very close friends. As a matter of fact, in the 80s, I used to go into Melito's with Frank, and we would have a steak or have a dinner. I sometimes I wouldn't have a steak. I would have what do you call it? You slice it, prime rib, or we slice a little prime rib off, and I'd have a twice baked potato and a vegetable with it. Maybe some what do you call it? Lobster with some butter, a little thing of butter that you dip it, melted butter you dip it in. It was good. Tom's Steakhouse is still on North Avenue. Joseph Coyle. I never went to Tom's Steakhouse, so they must have opened later. When did Tom's Steakhouse open, Joseph? I'll call you Joe. Is that okay? Tom's Steakhouse. I'm going to look that up, guy. Okay. Best steak in Chicago, so it says. Tom's Steakhouse. Angus beef. Oh, it's in Melrose Park, guy. Tom's Steakhouse is in Melrose Park. I knew I didn't hear of it before. That's because it's not on Wall Street. It's not in Old Town. Como Inn was a great place. Joseph, you're right, but it was in Melrose Park. It wasn't down where I was talking about, downtown. Rhonda. Here we go again, talking about food again. Laugh, laugh, laugh. Someone mentioned the Como Inn before. God, I miss it. The Como Inn was a great place. Really was. I enjoyed the food. Good steaks. Also, they had good prime rib. The crowd. Chicago's known for its food, people. I mean, the food is the best. If you didn't like it one place, you go to another. You like real Chicago style eggs and pepper sandwich when Lent rolls around. Yeah, it's really good. Vote for me, Alfred E. Newman. Yeah, how you doing, Bill? Bill Price, Mad Magazine. Crazy. But laughing, we had good times then. It was great. Maybe we just got to the point in our lives where all we're going to do is look back. But I don't think so. Where I live, We don't have anything like what I had. So I go to the Outback. That's the closest thing. Occasionally, if it's seafood, there's 100 of them that are family owned, and they're very, very good. Excellent where I live. But there are some things that I do miss here. I miss Landjäger, which is a German sausage. It's kind of like a Slim Jim, but it's bigger and not as spicy. You don't have to, what do you call it, refrigerate them because they work out in the air, but they're great to take hunting with you or something for a snack. You want to bite down on something and chew it, and it's very flavored. It's got really, really good. I pretty much stay close to my home base. I really do. There's a lot. I had a good time when I was out in Las Vegas. I went out there twice recently, within the past few years, and I had a great time. But there were some things I just didn't like about it. I mean, I just didn't like it. It's a matter of the big city. You have things in Las Vegas that I don't like. I don't like people walking up and down the strip, blowing marijuana in my face. I don't like minorities that are homeless, panhandling, and actually grabbing you by the arm and touching you. I mean, that could be a very vulnerable situation. It happened when I was out there. I didn't make a big deal out of it. I knew I didn't have to live with it. But where I live, it's completely different. I live in Panama City Beach, and in Panama City Beach, we don't have any homeless. None. We don't have any vagrants that sleep on the streets. And we don't have, you may have a little smash and grab or something like that, but they always get caught. Nobody gets away with anything here. And usually it's somebody that's from out of town. It's not somebody who's from here. People that are here know better. They know the cops here don't put up with anything. If you run from the cops here, it's not good. It does not end well. They will chase you down. They will run you over with the vehicle. They don't care. They really don't. That's the way it is. I remember when it didn't have any homeless. Back in 1968, there were no homeless there. None. Homeless? No, didn't happen. Move on. Keep going to LA. That was the attitude. They used to drive people to the bus stop and give them a bus ticket and tell them to get out. That's when Vegas was clean. And I liked it. And I'm glad you concur. I really do. Scott H., we don't have any of that big city nonsense where I live in Florida. And Georgia's clean and nice too. Yes, it is. I love it. Do you know the homeless have been on Wacker Drive since the 50s? Lower Wacker Drive too, Joe. The crowd, my son visited Vegas 2 years ago. He got dosed with something by somebody and spent a week in the hospital recovering from the drug. Somebody switched him, or he ingested a drug. That's bad. Very bad. I think we've had one or two things like that happen here, but when it does happen, it's like, you're lucky if the police get you, because some of the other people, they're not going to be so nice to you. Sheriff Lamb and the outfits kept. Yeah, they did. They kept it. They kept order. Chicago at war with the feds. It's not going well for them. The feds have the power. Of course. You know, I used to hear people say this all the time, Scott, and it was no joke. And there were outfit associates that used to say, "Hey, if I had the Army, Navy, and the Marines backing me to fuck up, I could do anything I wanted to do too." It's true. Hey, Red, have you ever made your own beef jerky? I do. I have a dehydrator I cut my slices, and usually it's deer jerky. It's not beef jerky, but I take those slices thin and put them in my dehydrator. It stacks like, I don't know, it's higher than that. It's probably maybe 10 to 12 inches high. And there's a fan in there. And when they come out, it's really good. I use salt. I have my own seasonings that I use on it. And it is what it is. As I told Adam, I made an announcement to Adam. I didn't think I was going to do any more hunting. I thought my hunting was gone or done because of my leg. And we have deer hunting in November. And guess what? I'm going hunting. I want enough deer meat to last me a year. I'll after I harvest it, I'll clean it up and process it and just load up my deep freezer. And that's the way it's going to be. We miss Tony, Fat Herbie, Frankie, and all the old crew. All we have is bozos in this town now. Yeah, but some of those people you're talking about, like Tony, and I mean, you're talking about people that have been gone since the 80s. This is 2025. Got to go with it. Scott H. That's right, Red. Our military has all the weapons and manpower to defeat armies, let alone rebel rousers. Or rabble rousers. Yeah, you're right. And they haven't even brought machine guns in, or ARs, or M16s, or whatever. If I can find some land, I'll send you some venison jerky beets and other packed meats. Thank you, Bill. I really appreciate it, Kraut. I love it. Occasionally I'll get something. I used to buy from Omaha Steaks, and I don't do it anymore because I found a ranch here that I can buy fresh, and I don't have to worry about the dry ice. Bill Crawley, when I started driving a truck in Chicago, I was told when delivering to South Wacker, don't drive over the cardboard boxes because somebody may be in them. Yeah. It was different back then. Oh, you want to watch me clean and dress a deer out? Is that what you want to watch? I got to set the camera up for that. Well, just like anything, Scott, it's called It's not humane. Red, you would have over 200 people watching as I dressed a deer. Yeah, probably. You mean, yeah, okay. Lisa B, yes, my smoker is finished. It is golden color and with a black top. Nice, I like it. Okay. Red, I have to tell you, you look great for 55 years old. Yeah, yeah, I'll tell you what, guy. How about 76? That's right, 76 years old. Hey, Red, have you ever bagged a 10 point? Or maybe 14 or 15 of them. It's rare if I grab an 8 pointer. I won't take a 6 point. I'll pass on it. 76, my friend, you are aging well. I guess. I mean, a lot of things I just had to do. I mean, I was worried about not being around with the ulcers I had on my leg. They look wicked, man. And I spent a lot of time with the doctor, quit smoking, had to do all the things that, if you want to live longer, you got to do that. So I don't know how long I want to live, really. Red, no, what's under $2 for deer nuts? That's the one thing I like about where I'm at here. I hunt in Sumatra, and Sumatra's not that far. And actually, I can drive home in a couple hours. But I have to tell you, uh, if you're on your own private property, you can bait deer. You can put down corn. You can put down oats. You can put down whatever you want. And if they come from Apalachicola National Forest, which is right next to me, and onto my property, private property, it's over 100 acres. There's 200 acres there. It's okay to harvest them. Now, I never had a forest ranger come on my property that I know of. Maybe when I wasn't there, he did. But what happens is you can grab yourself 2 deer a day, every day during season, and sometimes out of season. And when you don't want to shoot the deer, if you had enough, your freezer's full, you can shoot boar, which is pork, wild boar. And if you marinate it or soak it in salt brine, it comes out just as good as the pork you get it in the store. It's excellent. You can smoke it, you can smoke pork chops. You can do so many things with it, and it's really good. Now it saves on the beef, on buying beef. So it is the way it is. Tim Peroni, back surgery Friday. Wish me luck. I'm wishing you all the luck in the world, Tim. I hope you have a good surgeon. I hope you hold still. I hope the anesthesia is good. And I just hope it all comes out okay. How old are you, Tim? Christina, she's going to be thinking about you too. Kraus thinking about you. He said, heal well. Where the hell do you live, Bill? The crowd. Yeah, deer in the yard every night? 10 deer at the same time? Somehow they just don't want to walk down the beach here. But I don't have to go that far for them. I prefer hunting, Jim. Tim is a young 58 and back surgery. Better take care of yourself, Tim. No. Tim's 70. Okay. Whatever it is, if it's a muscle or whatever it is back there, I hope they really take care of it. Probably a spinal fusion, I would guess. Southern Wisconsin. That's right. I think I remember because I asked you about Beloit and I asked you about Janesville and that specific area there. I used to have a summer home in a little tiny town that was on by Lake Kashka on the Rock River, and it was called Edgerton. It was right off of 90. There was good fishing. I didn't hunt up there. If I wanted to go hunting, I went up to Hayward. You're most welcome, Tim. We're thinking about you. We care about you. We'll pray for you. The power of prayer. Bill Crowley. He's in your corner too. Lisa B. She's in your corner too. A spinal fusion. If I don't know where you're going for it, but you'll probably have it'll probably work. Just follow doctor's advice and get plenty of rest. You know, do what you can. Hey, Red, Jim Jagger, did you ever go hunting with a bow and arrow? Well, as a matter of fact, I started out hunting with a bow and arrow when I was 15. And it was a 45-pound recurve. And right now, I can't go and get it right now, but it's sitting right over here by me. I have a crossbow. And when you cock it and put a bolt into it, it shoots just about as good as a rifle. It's a little over 200 pounds, and I crank it to cock it. But it's quite a weapon. Yes, I've used them, and I like them. But I can still use my black powder in black powder season, and then I can still use my I use sabots, and I can still use my shotgun season, and I use my rifle and general gun, and that's the way it goes. You're down in Southern Illinois, Geneva. You're out west. I know exactly where you're at. Geneva, Illinois. That's nice out there, guy. Well, when you live in small towns, you always have tragic incidents, especially in Illinois. Last Tuesday, Kraut says he was in Durham, Illinois last Saturday. Jim Magnifici, Tim, pray for a great outcome. I go to Delnor. I'm Geneva also. Northwest Medical Center, I think is what you're trying to say. Yeah, we got huge whitetails here too. And really, if you go to South Florida, they're like dogs. I mean, you're lucky if they're 24 inches at the shoulder. I mean, they're skinny, no meat on them. But up here by me, some of the whitetails are uh, at least 45 inches at the wither, and their heads are above mine. And when they run, they can run. They just bounce, boom, 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 boom. And I like them. They're good harvests. You can't haul them out alone. You need a little bit of help, even if you got a ATV, which I do. But it's not always working right. I'll tell you what difference I am thinking about is I'm not going to climb a stand this year. I was talking to a friend of mine. He said, you don't need to. He said, you got blinds out there and you can use the blinds. So I will. Bambus taste good. They are, however, not pleasant to meat. Well, okay. George Wilson. Hey, Duke. Hey, Adam. Adam's not with us today, but he should be with us Wednesday. I would imagine the cornfields down there in Sycamore bring out all the deer. They go in there and hide in the cornfields, and they probably have a really good time munching down. Hey, Red, have you ever seen white albino deer? Yes. Two of them were spotted near Iowa early this year. I will send you a link. Thank you, Jim. The first time I saw white deer were at Argonne National Laboratories, and that was in the 60s, early or late. I think it was early 60s. I went out there like in 1964, and first time I ever saw white deer. And when I tell people about it today, not many people know about it. Was a big secret, Argonne National Laboratories. That was actually where they developed the atomic bomb. All the scientists worked out there. They had a little cable car, little train underneath the ground that went all the way to Soldiers Field. It was about maybe a 20-minute ride on that directly. Little tiny car on tracks. And when I saw the deer out there, that's another thing. Was they did say it was a government installation, so you had to have security to get past. But I saw herds of white deer. It was small herds. Since then, they have spread them out. They tried to bring them to other places. Those deer originally came from China. They were a gift, and now they're all over the place. We have some white deer down here. They're huge. They're on an island. The crowd. Jim, we have several albino deer near the Bark River bottom. marsh at Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin. There was one spotted at Eagle River this year, Bill Crawley. Yep. They're beautiful. I like Eagle River. That's a good fishing and hunting spot. Lisa B., we had one upstate New York for years in the 90s, early 2000s. White deer are different. Not many of them. So, does anybody have any questions about Frank Schweihs' The Meat Block on Wall Street that I can answer for you? And I can tell you anything about the Chicago outfit that I know. I won't tell you about something I don't know. Not going to make anything up. Come here, Duke. Come on. This is Duke. This is Duke and Duke's bone. Yes. Duke says, I'm chewing on my bone and I'm being a nice guy. Okay, folks. Well, I really enjoyed all of you stopping by. Looking forward to seeing you Wednesday. Adam and I will be on, and we'll have an after show Wednesday. Rico. Frank never bought a vehicle. He never owned one. But he had a beautiful Mercedes that was in his mother's name. And it was what it was. Most of the time, he liked to drive a Jeep that he got from a Dodge dealer, a Jeep Dodge dealer. And the guy used to let him put dealer's plates on it, whatever. He always borrowed vehicles. And that's the way it was. And he had a lot of nice cars, very nice. He didn't drive beaters. They were responsible vehicles. The only guy I ever knew that drove a beater was Joey Lombardo. He had some real beaters, man. Like 10-year-old cars that were. They had what do you call them? Not the regular paint. Primer. We call them leopards. Okay, folks. See you Wednesday. Thank you so much for coming by. I love all of you. And if you can, give me a like. I'd appreciate it. God bless you. Red We Met, over and out.
The combination of the videotapes and We Met's testimony resulted in the conviction of 2 men on extortion charges. One of them was Frank Schweihs, known in syndicate circles as the German, a feared mob terrorist and a suspect in a number of gangland murders.
He was described to me by other outfit individuals as the most feared hitman. And as he said to me, my reputation precedes me, son.